Whew, man, take a breath, right?
This one's tough.
Take a
This one's
breath.
tough.
So we got cheating or mistake. Okay. Now I'm gonna
Hmm.
give a shout out to Jeremy over on there it is, Heart and Soul, right? Heart and Soul, 100%, 100%. We got Jeremy over on X. For those of you that don't know, he's the co-host of the Club Lorcana podcast with Zam, and he's been hosting these things. I think he started the weekend after Arceus was released and the SSG tournaments and stuff like that. He won the event, and he's been talking about different things on Spaces. And after CCS couple weeks ago, there was 2 days worth of streaming. There was a lot of stuff that happened on stream, a lot of sketch, a lot of conversation, a lot of stuff being caught, some cheating, mistakes, whatever it might have been. And this is the topic of the conversation that I think is important to note. I am not here to call anybody a cheater today. Have I done it in the past? Absolutely. Go watch the Reclam video. I trashed that guy. Chris Croy, I trashed that guy. When there is literal public information of showcasing that you are a bad person for the game, I am going to be the first person to use my platform to say, I don't respect this person. I think he's awful for Disney Lorcana, and I don't want him in our space.
Hmm.
This is not about that today, all right? This is just a conversation around the problem with cheating in Disney Lorcana and at the cost of it being considered a mistake. So, in that note, right, we've seen what happened this weekend. There were some mistakes on this weekend that happened on your stream.
Hmm.
There's stuff that happens. You got to fix it. We got to do some things, right? So, in that, that space,
Hmm.
we live in a world. This is have you been how many DLCs have you been to?
I went to two. I went
All
to
right,
DLC in Las Vegas and DLC Seattle.
perfect. West Coast, Best Coast, got
Yep,
it.
yep, 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 yep.
The beginning in the player meeting, okay? Whoever's on the mic, it's different people. Let's just say it's when Ryan gets on the mic and
Hmm.
Ryan goes, "Hey, how many players in the room? This is your first card game,
I love that.
right?" And in all honesty, listen, guys, again, I've been playing card games since I was 10, 11 years old. I've been to a lot of these player meetings, a lot of these tournaments. The amount of players that raise their hand in Disney Lorcana and say, "This is my first game," honestly, it's incredible.
Yeah.
It's truly remarkable that they are hitting that many players. And I think because of that is the reason we have the rules that we have in the game. Okay? And the rules that we have in the game, I make this joke all the time. I actually think that it's almost impossible to get a game loss in Disney Lorcana. I actually think that you gotta punch your opponent in the face to get a game loss in Disney Lorcana. And in all honesty, that might have been a warning.
It's
Like,
just a
oh, it was
warning.
a
It's
mistake.
just a
There's
warning.
so that is the real conversation about all of these things that we are seeing on streams. Because you know what? There has not been a DLC, but shout out to the grinders. Shout out to Garrick's Lair streaming 8-10 hours. Shout out to Lore 20 Pro, to the Lore Keepers In, to JDZ Quest. We are seeing a lot of Disney Lorcana on weekends, on streams, a lot of gameplay being happened. And guess what, guys? There's a lot of mistakes. There's a
Yeah.
lot. And some of those mistakes, they are cheating. All right. Some of them
Yeah.
are. Some of them are. But what the most common thing is, and everyone, listen, I love it. I love the community is willing to go to the extent to defend people. I think it's great. I really do. But in a world where it's not a mistake and it is cheating and we're trying to get away with it, there's no punishment, JD.
Yeah. There's a lot. Honestly, this conversation could be a 4-hour show because I have so much to talk about on this entire thing around this entire subject. First, I want to make sure I'm going to double down on what you said. I'm never going to attack anyone's character or anyone's personality. And that's one thing, Dan, that I wish we would do better as a community is that as soon as something happens and as soon as something goes up, oh, that guy's a cheater. He's a cheater. Everybody, he's a cheater. We got cheater. We got to
Yeah.
pause
So
a little bit.
there's a difference between cheating and being a cheater.
Right,
But
right.
most mistakes are cheating, which is
Okay,
the
I'm saying
problem.
okay, but I'm saying
Yeah,
like
yeah.
we gotta really be cognizant of when we we were quick to label people. Like you said, with the Rackham thing, if there's a full-on investigation,
Yeah,
we've
yeah.
talked to judges, we've done our due diligence, and then someone gets that label, then fine. That is where it is. But we cannot be quick to put labels on someone, especially when it comes to their character or their integrity, because that lasts and it can affect someone's personality. And if they are someone who's genuinely making a mistake, or someone is nervous, or someone is having a bad day, or someone's fatigued, or someone is not feeling well, and they make these mistakes, I'm like, oh, that guy is a cheater,
Mhm.
then it's going to be hard to get that off. And that's going to start to cause another
Yeah,
issue.
which honestly, shout out to Hector,
Yeah.
because he came on defend. He tried to defend himself in a space that the same space that I just put up, and I don't know. He
Yeah.
came out. He came out at the end of it saying like, I don't even know if I want to be a part. Like I don't
Oh
know if
yeah.
I can redeem myself.
And that's something I will say about Zan again. As you guys know, I've had Zan come by my YouTube channel. I watch every episode of the Club Lorcana podcast. I'm a huge fan of Zan Syed. I'm a stan, if you would, stan of Zan, and I respect him and his career and what he's done as a player to get to the point where he is. And
Mhm.
he is a phenomenal Lorcana player, phenomenal trading card game player. You can't take that away from him at all. But when you do sign up to say, I want to have a podcast, or I want to be a content creator, and I want to join media, you now have an additional responsibility beyond being just a player. So I think you have to manage your emotions even more, because you can tell he was clearly upset. He was clearly
Yeah,
affected, and he has to put that to the side and say, hey, I can't, you can't say whatever you want, because you have an impact, you have an influence, you are media now, and you have to be responsible with that. And I think, in my opinion, I do think he did not handle it the best way. I
yeah,
will I will say I will say that.
yeah.
But
And I'm gonna double down.
yeah,
I think the way it was done was wrong.
right,
Hundred
right. But
percent.
at the
I
same
would
time, he's
double
a
down.
human. He's a human being, and
Yeah,
you if you feel like you've been cheated,
yeah.
what are you supposed to do? Like, as a human,
No, no,
like
yeah,
if
yeah,
he
yeah,
if he didn't have that social platform, if he didn't have the podcast, if he didn't have the huge Twitch following, if he didn't have the influence that he had, and he came out and made that tweet, or made those comments, it wouldn't matter, because
yeah,
it's
yeah,
just someone who is acting as themselves, and it is, you know,
yeah,
who cares. But when we have to look, like, you have to look at yourself and who you are and the platform that you have, and you have to be very responsible with your words. And I'm not saying you have to go through a PR team to get these
sure.
messages out, but
Yeah,
that's why companies do that. That's
yeah,
why
yeah,
these
yeah,
professional basketball players have to do that, because you have to understand that your words have impact, and you can negatively affect people, even if you are the one that could have potentially have been wrong. I personally do feel that the way that the rules are written, I don't agree with them at all. I
yeah,
don't I do feel that he was wrong, but how he handled it in the aftermath, I think was a bit incorrect, in my
yeah.
opinion. But
And
that's
that
just me.
and that's that. This is where it's like as negative as I believe how it was handled and how he did it. I still think it's important that it happened.
Absolutely.
And the reason I say that is because man, oh God, I hate Twitter. I've said it a couple times already.
Yeah.
Uh, but some of the like responses of to it are also like unbelievably terrible
Yeah.
conversation takes, and I mean like the worst opinions
Yeah.
ever. Uh,
Yeah, Twitter is
because
a desolate hellscape. I mean,
because
I
like
just got on Twitter just because I'm trying to do this content creator thing, and you have to be on Twitter. I get on there and I need to get off of this thing as soon as I possibly can, because it is
yeah, yeah,
just
yeah,
so bad. I hate
yeah.
it.
There's so much bait that it's like it's like impossible to have. Normally when I get into it, like my next response was like, Twitter is not the place to have this conversation. Like you want to have a conversation, you hit me up. All right, you can
Hmm.
find me. I promise, I'm everywhere. Like
Yeah.
you, it is. I am not a hard person to find.
Yeah.
So there are like the takes of, oh well, it's the rules. It's like, okay, well, if you're making that comment, you don't understand what the conversation is. The
Yeah.
conversation is the rules are bad.
Right.
Like, the conversation is in every world where this is a mistake, right? In every world, this is a mistake.
Right.
What you need to understand is that people that do cheat and people that are cheaters are literally using you guys as a shield.
Right.
They're literally like, oh yes, I'm gonna have people that come to my defense. And I'm not calling any of these players cheaters. I'm not doing that. But what I'm telling you is that the people that are cheating, the people that are getting away with it, they're gonna listen. I have a firm belief that karma is everything, and they're gonna get theirs. I got a
Yep.
firm belief of that. There'll be a day where they're gonna get theirs, but they get to utilize the community that is so quick to defend the players that are making mistakes because that like they're like, oh wait, I have it, I have that shield. But
Hmm.
the reason that everybody gets away with it is the rule book.
Right.
That's
And
the
and
problem.
that is something that again, I'm not trying to defame Zan at all. I cannot
Yeah,
stress enough how much of a fan of him that I am, and a supporter of him.
yeah,
This just as a point of, in the future,
mhm,
hypothetically speaking, had Zan came out and said, hey guys, out here in Zan world on the podcast, look, I went out to this tournament and here's what happened.
yeah,
I feel like this wasn't correct. And I
yeah,
wish that there would be something that could be done to fix these rules, because
yeah.
I've been playing trading card games for the past 20, 30 years, and I've never seen anything like this transpire. And I feel like I was wrong, man. So whatever I can do to help maybe talk to the judge community or the rules advice community, I have so much experience in these card games. We got to clean this up, because
Yeah.
if you do this, you're opening up loopholes for people to exploit. And I'm telling you right now, these loopholes will be exploited in any
No,
competitive
not will,
fashion. They
not will.
not
They
will.
already are.
They already
They
are
already are.
being exploited. Like,
Yeah.
what is stopping me right now? If I'm a ne'er-do-well, if I'm someone who has a bad intention, what's stopping me from drawing 9 on my whole new world right now? Literally nothing.
Yeah.
I would do it. Like, you might as well change the way the card is printed, because if the only thing stopping me from doing it is you catching me, and then when I get caught, nothing happens.
Yes.
Why don't I just do it?
That's it. And that's the conversation.
Why
That
don't
is
I just do it?
when it is so easily to break the integrity of every game that you play. And it is so, and I mean it got listen, I know there's again, I'll go back to that new player thing, right? I
Yeah,
know there's a lot of new players that have never played a card game before. I know there is in this even in this chat right now. It is so easy for people that want to do it, that people are committed to do it, the people that do not have integrity. It is so easy to cheat. It
yeah,
is incredibly easy. If you want to do it, it is a skill. If you
yeah.
want to do it, you can do it.
And
And that
it's
is the problem with the game is that right now you can walk into a tournament on day one. This is not a joke, guys. This is
yeah,
not a joke. All right, listen to me. If you're going to take anything away from this conversation, listen to this conversation. On day one, you can get 2 warnings for drawing extra cards for doing any infraction in Disney Lorcana in the rulebook. You can get 2 warnings on day one and be clean. No game loss, no nothing. When day 2 starts, if you were a player that got 2 warnings on day 1 for drawing extra card, whatever you did of that day to make that, if you start day 2 and you're in top 64, guess what, guys?
clean.
You're clean.
Ridiculous.
You literally get to do it again.
Crazy.
Okay? That is a problem.
Yeah,
It is an
yeah.
absolute problem because these players that are playing against people, they're playing against people literally like you that are not paying attention.
Right, right.
They are
And you got
not.
to, and
They're
on
getting away with it.
and to piggyback on that, this happened to Zan live on stream, okay?
Yeah,
And Zan has that experience because he's caught cheaters in the past. And
yeah.
he has a high, he
He is
has
a professional.
that is something that I always admire when I see someone who is a very strong trading card game player that takes years of experience to develop. You have to have a presence. You have to have table etiquette. You have to understand how to defend yourself against those things. These new players don't have that. It
They
takes a
don't.
long time to develop those skills. So when Zan is like, "Hey, this happened. I caught him. Boom,
Yeah.
boom." Everybody's not going to be able to catch that
No.
happening,
No.
especially if you've been crafting, you've trained on your ability to cheat. It's very difficult to catch someone in the act of doing it, and there's so many things that you have to look out for. And so I don't know, it's just
I
really really
literally,
poor, man.
before we went on the stream, I told you about a story that happened to me in round 3 of DLC
Hmm.
Atlanta. Like, I am, again, 10, 11 years old, playing cards my whole life. A player cheated against me in the tournament, and I completely missed it until he tried to cheat the second time.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Like literally, he completely got away with the first one. Literally, completely got away with it, and it wasn't until the second time that he tried to get me that I'm like, wait a minute,
yeah,
something's wrong.
and
And guess what, guys?
yeah.
That guy, he only got a warning.
And that's that. I honestly think that the rules do there should be a ruling update. There should be a ruling change on those types of things, or you could just leave it more open ended and empower your judges to make more of
Right.
these streamlined
And
assessments. That could be a way to do it, because I don't want to keep beating up on Zan. I really
no,
don't.
no, no.
Again, incredible player. I think he did everything correct. I just wish he would have just handled it slightly different. No big deal.
Yeah.
But also, I'm not letting Hector off the leash
No, I'm
here.
not either. And I don't.
Yeah, I think
I
I
do
think he
think.
made a mistake, and
Yeah.
we did talk about this before you start
Yeah.
recording. Is
Yeah.
that I would have loved to see Hector after that whole thing transpired and all the judges were called and the appeals went through, I would have loved to see Hector, hey, raise his hand and say, hey guys,
Yeah,
I fumbled the bag on this one.
yeah,
Hey, you know what, Judge? I ruined this game. I got caught. I messed up. I'm tired. I haven't been sleeping well. I don't know what hey man, I don't know what I was thinking. I made a huge
yeah. I mean,
mistake.
and
Give me that
every
game loss. I'll eat
like
that.
every
Let's just go
listen,
next.
every excuse sucks, right?
It doesn't matter
Every
what the
excuse
excuse is.
sucks.
Yeah.
But and I think and to Zan's credit here, I think that what is the most fair is that Zan said if his opponent had called the judge, if he was the person, if he
Yeah.
was the one that said that caught himself in the moment and said I messed up, I will call the judge. I don't think I think we barely have a conversation. I think it doesn't even go anywhere. But it's because his opponent did not do that. His like we talk about vibes. Like Zan said, like my opponent did not give me a vibe of someone that felt bad about making a mistake.
Mm-hmm.
And that is a huge thing too. You know, that is like that is a huge thing.
Vibes,
If
energy.
you give up the vibe of saying like, "Nah, we're good here," and I know I'm going to get away with it,
That's
like if
crazy.
that's the vibe you're giving
Oh
away,
no, we got to
that's not
push.
like then you're setting that tone, and that's also a problem.
All right.
So you know,
But I got something. I see a chat coming in. I do see the
go
chat
for
over
it.
here.
Go
Yo,
for it.
somebody
What do we got? What do we got?
ants roasting my chest. I hate that, but I'm gonna go to TPC right
This
here.
one?
That one, and it says no one is going to go against a judge ruling and concede. It would have made him look worse. I don't agree with that at
Why?
all. I don't agree with
Why?
that at all because I'll tell you why. I do have a little anecdote, and I did mention this in the Quest World streams and on my own publications multiple times about an experience that happened to me in my own Lorcana journey. Okay, I'm playing in a 1K tournament. Okay, I'm down there and I'm doing my thing, and this is on the bubble. This is a very important game 3. Win, go in, lose, go home type B, and we're at time and we're playing very quick in my own game. Okay, I'm doing my thing. It's a very, very grindy game. We got about 4 minutes left in the tournament. Sorry, Dan, I'm just dropping the story in here. And
Love
I
it.
go to play. I'm playing Ruby Sapphire at the time, and I play Develop Your Brain. Okay, super quick. Didn't think about it. I drew 2 cards, add them to my hand, shuffled them together, and I'm like, oh man, I just messed up. I did not resolve that card correctly. Develop Your Brain doesn't work like that. Call the judge. Opponent called the judge. We're just like, okay, hey judge, this is what happened. I made a mistake. I was going too fast. I drew cards, added them to my hand. How can we fix this? And the judge says, oh man, they look around and they talk to each other. And they're like, all right, here's what we're gonna do. You're gonna take one random card from your hand, put it into your deck, or take 2 cards from your hand, put them into your deck, and then resolve Develop Your Brain. I was like, and my opponent was like kind of pissed, rightfully so, because it was a super grindy game. He's like,
Yeah.
oh man, that doesn't seem fair. That doesn't seem fair. And I was like, you know what, Judge, that doesn't seem fair. I agree with him. Give me the game loss. I'll take it. This was game 3. I'm out. I'm like, I'm
No,
done.
and
I'll
for what
lose
it's
the
worth,
tournament. I'll
I
be
want to
out of the
clarify.
tournament. You can go on to the top 8 because I don't want if I do come back and win, that's gonna be the story. Because now I cheated and I didn't play the game correctly. I'm the one who made that mistake. I'm the one that broke the game. He didn't do anything wrong. It was me. So yeah, give me the game
Right.
loss. I'll
And
eat
to
it.
clarify, you did not get a game loss. You conceded.
I conceded. I conceded.
Right.
Oh, I
Like
conceded. Oh yeah, there was
you were
not a game loss.
you were
Yeah,
never going to get a game loss. And this is also the instance. This is literally this is it. This is the whole conversation. You were not a cheater.
right.
You made a mistake, but you knew that mistake was cheating.
It was cheating. It was cheating. It was just because just because it happened on an accident, just because it was a mistake, doesn't rectify the fact that it is cheating. Okay, because I got information that I should not have had. Okay, so that is me breaking the game, breaking the rules of the game, and I have to take responsibility for that. So that's why I was like, okay, fine, I will concede this game because this is unfair. And that was in that moment where I could have said, hey, judge, you're right, and do the whole thing and went back and won. And now my integrity is on the chopping block. And my integrity is worth so much more than a 1K event or a box or a Golden Mickey or any of that. Because if I can't do it clean and fair the right way, then I don't want to do it at all. And that's just how I live. So I would have loved to seen Hector come out with that and say, hey, I messed this up. Let's go to the game 2. Because that was only game 1 anyway.
Yeah.
That was only game 1. Just say, hey,
Yeah.
I did this. I ruined it. I messed it up. I'm under these bright lights. I'm playing against the game's best player. We got the stream going. I'm tired. These people are walking around. Everyone's gathering around this table. This is just a lot of pressure. I'm not built for this right now. I made a mistake. I got nervous. Hey, you know what? Let's just chalk it up. Let's just go next
Sure.
and be done with it.
And
And if that happens, Dan, we're not even having this
no,
conversation.
we literally never had the conversation.
And
Literally.
everybody's fine. I
Yeah.
think that's the way that should happen. It should be accountability first as the individual, and that just didn't happen on Hector's
But
part, and I'll have to hold him
that's
accountable for that.
that's kind of the end all be all here, right? I think I think that I think the rules are lenient. I think they're too nice. I think
Yeah,
they're too cute. And we're gonna talk about this in the next segment here, but like in Disney Lorcana, there needs to be a level of play expression, and in those level of play expressions, there should be an honest different rule set. Shout out to Dick. He talks about it all the time. There is competitive, and then there is professional.
Mhm.
And for us, like competitive can be a set championship, but when you talk about DLCs and we're talking about playing, I make the joke all the time that we're playing for $10 because that's the paper they make you sign when you win something. Like
Yeah.
you won $10 of paper, right? But we're not talking. We're talking about tens of thousands of dollars in
Yeah.
prizes. And when you're playing for those things, I you got to learn. There has to be a level. There has to be a mistake button that
Mhm.
is not just a warning.
Right.
For some of these things that cannot be fixed, that cannot be replaced. And in a lot of instances, that's what it is. And it
Right.
is impossible to improve intent. It's impossible to actually prove intent
You
whether or
can't.
not in most
You
cases.
you you literally
Because
cannot.
because the truth is, and I say this all the time, there's three sides to every story. My side, your side, the truth.
Mhm.
And when a judge comes over to the table, it's impossible to actually get the truth. You
I
know?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
like the rules are so misguiding to judges that they can never actually judge on intent. It's not possible.
Mhm.
So like as much as people want to hate on judges, and much as people want to hate on Zan for bringing attention to it, like the real truth is at the end of the day, we just want a rule set that we can actually not even use intent.
Yeah.
We want a rules guide that says like, hey, a player can't just get away with this all the time. Like,
Right.
hey, if there's a mistake at the level of play, like if you show up to a league night and you make this mistake, there's a difference
Right.
between doing it at league than doing it at the kind of challenge.
Right,
Like
right, right.
there just needs to be layers to the rule
And
book,
at
and
the
that's
same time, I don't want this thing because on the inverse of that, in this wacky, bizarro world that we live in, that also can be abused as well. And I don't want that to
yeah, yeah, yeah,
happen.
yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah.
I don't. It's got to be a balance. I don't want a slippery slope type situation where, oh man, my opponent drew 8 cards. Let me let him end his turn so I can now call the judge and get him a game loss. Let me just wait.
Yeah, yeah.
That you don't want
Listen, we
people
don't
to
want to. I
abusing
don't want that either.
yeah, I
I
don't want
do.
that
I agree with
either.
you.
Or like, hey, he now, he didn't. Hey, look, hey judge, he didn't put damage on me. Game loss, I win, kind of thing.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
kind of stuff. There has to be a balance, and I think the
I
issue
just want
is,
to let you know.
yeah,
I'm telling you right now. Any one of my opponents ever does that, for this point forward, you are a bag. Like
yeah, yeah.
if I forget to put a damage on Smee and you're calling judges to get game losses, you're a bag.
Yeah,
All right.
that's what I'm saying. So there has to be a fine balance of it, and we were talking about that earlier between, hey, whose job is it to maintain the game state? It's both players. But if I'm
Yeah.
sitting there, hey man, you got to make that trigger. Hey, you got to gain your lore off your location. Hey, you got to make sure you do this. Hey, I'm playing both of our games, and
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
could be a strategy that people. I'm not going to say anything. I'm
Yeah.
just let my opponent do this
Yeah.
until they get double fatigued. I mean, people are going to take every single advantage that they possibly can to try to win. And that is so unfortunate because the honor and the integrity and the sportsmanship kind of goes to the wayside in favor of, I need to win a game. And that
Yeah.
is the part we need to get back to. We need to make sure integrity is a part of it, honor is a part of it, and having good, clean sportsmanship is a part of it first. And you can't really teach that. So your rules have to be able to balance out other people's lack of integrity, and people are always going to try to find a way to get as close to those rules and skirt those rules to gain whatever competitive edge that they can find, which is kind of repulsive in my opinion.
Unfortunately, there's several different types of players in this world. There's players that want to play for the glory and get there in the integrative way, and then there's players that only care about the winnings and they
Yeah,
don't care how to get them,
which
and
is
they don't
sad.
they don't see they don't believe in karma. They don't believe that they're ever going to be caught. There will come a day where like I pray, I really do, that some of these players get caught and some of these players do get, like, they're gonna get this treatment that Hector might not even deserved,
Right,
honestly, because like that's the real truth here is that Hector, it could have been a mistake,
right,
100% could have been a mistake. No, there's no debating whether or not it could have been a mistake because it could have been. In
right.
all these cases it can be, but there are certainly players out there that it's not a mistake, and
Hmm.
they know that it's not a mistake.
And honestly, like I even all the negative energy that Hector did receive, I don't think that's the right way to handle it at all. Like people are
No, it's
getting, if people are sliding into his DMs or people are adding him on Twitter or comment at him on different platforms on these comment sections and things like that, that's absolutely deplorable as well. Like
yeah, yeah,
even people like Chris Croy and Reclint, like if people are sliding into their DMs talking
yeah, yeah,
about
yeah.
how bad they are and this should happen to them and that's also unhinged. Okay,
It
that
is.
is not
It is.
the way that should happen either. I don't care what anyone does. If you are going to get onto someone's social media and tag them or something, you got your own problems you need to work out. Just because someone is unscrupulous or someone makes a mistake or someone is allured by the intrigue of having a goal to make you're winning the thing and they violate their own integrity, that's not for
Yeah,
you to come in there
yeah,
and further
yeah.
lambast them. We're
Listen,
not doing that
we're not
either. That's also
we're not
insane.
swearing any oaths,
Yeah,
like,
this
and
is
people still lie on the stand. So like it's
yeah
we
yeah
could talk again. We could talk about this for 4 hours, like you
yeah for
said.
sure for sure
So
for sure for sure. All right all right all right all
we'll
right.
we'll bury it. Listen, guys, the VOD's going to be on YouTube. It's going to be on Twitch. You guys can go back watch it whenever you guys want. It's there forever. In all honesty, this is the type of content that like gets broken up and reutilized, and because JDZ is on fire, guys.
No, dude, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. No, 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 no. This is
He's on
just listen.
fire in a good way. We're talking about a good way, bro. In a good way.
I love this community. I love this trading card game with all of my heart. Okay, you don't understand how much Lorcana
Oh, I
has
do.
meant to me since I
I do.
jumped in. TCGs plus Disney. This is literally everything I could have ever dreamed to be a part of. And this community is so great. And the only thing I want is for this thing to be as good and as pure and as clean as it possibly can be. And
Yeah,
anytime I can give any type of influence to make that happen, sign me up. I'm
yeah,
going to do
yeah.
that. So there you go.
It's tough. To full circle it in the end is like Zan has the platform to have the conversation, and it's
Hmm.
why everyone's talking about it. And while I don't agree with how Zan did it, I do agree with the fact that he did something.
Yeah,
And
for
that's
sure.
really all. That's all this is
Yeah,
the
to
idea
get the
that
ball rolling.
it,
I do
we
appreciate that. Yeah.
these conversations they got to happen. The
Yep.
community has to be aware of this. And in all honesty, Ravensburger is listening, right? They
Yeah.
want to hear the feedback. They want to read the chat, right? Like the chat's there. They can see the conversations there. They can hear what we're talking about. They in order for them to best move this game forward, because listen, guys, we're in it for the long haul. Okay. JD and I, we're here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're here
Yeah.
because we love it. We're here
Yeah.
because we want it to be successful. And we're having the conversations to ensure that it is aware that there are conversations being happened at RB, at RB headquarters and things like that, because it's important that the game does get as healthy as possible. And they are able to take everyone's comments, everyone's look at it, and make their best choice of how they move the game forward. That's where I'm at.
Absolutely. And I will say one more time that if Zan is watching this in the future, if he gets this to his, if this comes across his feed and he's like, oh man, this
Sure.
JD's guy, he's dead to me. I want to reemphasize that I'm such a fan of Zan. I was on Zan Cam on Sunday on the 20 Lore Pro stream. Shout out to
For
the
a
20
couple
Lore Pro
hours.
community.
Where's
For a
Dan?
couple hours, he was
He didn't
there.
do well.
And if you guys didn't know, he got 2-0'd by Little Caesars, apparently. I mean, he was very sick. He had a stomach bug there, and he
Yeah.
still he was he was under having severe illness, and he was still showed up to the event, and he still sat down on the camera, and
Yeah.
he still tried super hard to play these games, and you could just see people were still coming up to him, and he was like signing cards, he was being super cordial, still as a true professional. I mean, people idolize him, and even if he's not feeling well, hey Zan, you got to get on the camera anyway, and he still got up there and tried his best to make it happen, and I can't appreciate him enough for that and what he does for the community. Oh, it was
Yeah.
Buffalo Wild Wings. He got 2-0 by Sally. Oh yeah, hate to see it.
Christian was on the ground. I'm taking this as like gospel. Like this is it. Christian was there. I believe him from now on. He just told everyone Buffalo Wild
Yeah,
Wings in
I heard
Wisconsin's bad.
the whole world class cards organization got completely annihilated by that
Mhm.
Buffalo Wild Wing meta down there. Whatever they were cooking, Buffalo Wild Wing was deep
All right.
into
I
the
gotta
in the
listen.
Sapphire cook. They got
Listen.
them bad, but it
I've
is
had
what
some
it is.
conversations. First of all, Zan knows I've had Zan on the channel. We've had
Uh-huh.
conversations. I talk to Zan, whenever I think it's important that I got to go and ask a question, have a conversation. I do those things. Zan knows if he wants to talk, he can talk to me.
Okay.
I'm not hating on Zan whatsoever. I think the conversation had to happen, and if he believes that the way he did it is correct, I can respect that too.
Right.
Because you know what, he was put in a position where he was not comfortable and he felt bad about it, and he's like, no, like I need to have this and I need to present it the way I do, because I think that people need to understand that you just can't expect to do whatever. So At the end of the day, it is what it is. Cheating sucks, and I'm glad we can have a conversation about it because at the end of the day, it needs. I think the
Yeah.
rule book of this game sucks.
Right.
I think the judges are consistently put in positions that are
Yeah.
unfair.
So bad.
So that's all
Yeah.
I want.
The
All I want is the rule book to be better clarified. That's all I want.
I love that take. I love that take because I love this judge community. Judge Phil, Speedy, was it Googly Glimmers, freaking everyone. I'm missing I'm missing Leo. I'm missing a ton of judges, and shout out
Judge
to all
Phil,
the
shout out to
judges.
Judge Phil.
And it's like because people don't understand how the judge system works. I've been a tournament organizer for multiple events, and your judges have a book that they have to look at and read and learn, and they have to judge based on the rules of the game. They can't go off script and just make up
Yeah,
their own rules. They can't do that. That is against that'll be the Wild West as well. So when you say, "Hey, here are the rules. Here's what I got to do,"
right.
then that's it. And people say, "Oh, these judges suck. I hate the judges." Dude, they're just going by the rules that they have, and I think that's so unfair when people come at these judges. So I really wish we wouldn't do that. And if you don't like the rules, make sure you get into these forums in a positive and peaceful manner. And if you get a community and you make enough noise in the appropriate way and say, "Hey, here are all the rules I don't like, and here's the rules that we could have to make it better," people can work with that instead of just grabbing your pitchfork and just being pissed and just making a bunch of noise. It just
So this is
doesn't.
how you know that me and JD are professionals. We both have a notepad on the table, guys. All right, notepad and pen on table all times.
At all times, baby. We gotta. Sorry.
Professionals.
I love
Professionals.
it. There you go. There you go. There you go. Sorry.
I had to break it. I'm sorry. I had to do it.
No, you're good. You're good. You're good. You're good. Okay. Okay. Again, we can do 4.
Chat,
I can do 4 hours on this. Okay, alone.
chat, you guys are on fire. I'm not ignoring you. All right, we're not ignoring you. There's a lot going on, and you know what? This sucks. I was actually going to point this out. He was an absolute. That's not true. He was very sick though in Seattle. I literally, like, I watched him play a game, and like mid game, he's like, whoop, and he just that's bro. It ain't fun. All right, sometimes it ain't fun.
You gotta.
And that's the problem, right?
Yeah.
You travel across the world. You go to participate in these events. You go to, and when it sucks. So like, let's be honest here, guys. If you're not feeling well, you're probably not the best person either. All right,
Yeah.
let's.
You
let's
gotta. You gotta start loading some Imodium, dude. You're getting cooked by that salmonella meta. You're getting cooked by that undercooked meat meta. You gotta better load some Imodium. You better load some I don't know, man. Some little bit of Pepto Bismol. I keep saying Bimzol. My kid's been saying Pepto Bimzol for years. She still says it. So I'm Pepto Bismol. Put that locked in.
Braden, you're not ignored. There's a lot of chat from everywhere. I promise you.
Oh.
Like, you might be cooking on YouTube. Twitch is also cooking. I'm not ignoring anyone in particular. I promise.
Hey, we're rocking and rolling, man. We're rocking and rolling.
Love you
These are the topics that people want to hear about. Okay, we're coming to you here. We got the coffee. I'm out of coffee, but
I'm out of coffee too. I know it's really upsetting. No, I wish I had more. It was very good.
Yeah.
But seriously, like, last couple weeks we've had we've had people, and this is like, listen, break the barrier down. There's a forum that I put up in the forum and said, hey guys, Tuesday mornings I'm going to be streaming. I'm looking for company, right?
Uh-huh.
A couple people reach out to me. They're like, I want to do it. I want to be a part of it. And I'm like, all right, listen, I want to talk about stuff that, like, I don't have all the information for, and I want to do some different stuff. I want to put some awareness out there for some different things. We covered Gamma. We did some off meta decks. Like, we did stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
There's a video coming out tomorrow that's on a whole other subject that, like, no one in gaming is talking about. That was important to me. Today, I listened to JDZ a lot. I watch, JDZ's everywhere, guys. If you don't know who this guy is, you are missing out.
And I
Okay,
don't
but like,
I don't want to burn people out on, but I'm just I love I am I'm so passionate about it.
I hear all the time that there's it's so hilarious, right? Because it's true, right? There's not enough content for Disney Lorcana, guys. There's not. It's a fact, okay? There is not actually enough. People are like, oh, there's too many content creators. No, there isn't. Like, we have so much space. If I wake up one morning, okay, and I do my very best on the Forbidden Mountain YouTube channel, which many people are watching right now, I do my best to subscribe to literally every content creator that exists. And if there is ever a morning that I go on and I go to that subscription tab, which nobody uses anymore because YouTube does not feature it in any good way. I'm a content creator. I know these things. Trust me. You go to JZ goes to his analysis page and he looks and sees views from subscription, and it's like 8%.
Yeah, like 10, maybe. Yeah.
Like, okay, like, I do it on purpose because I want to go. I'm going to log in the morning. I want to hit that subscription tab. I want to see what's there. And I'm telling you guys, there are days there is no content. Okay.
Yeah.
That means there is not enough content creators in Disney
Yeah.
Lorcana. Fact. Okay.
Every
Fact.
and I'll raise you there. I'll check raise you there because I'm trying to go in on this Twitch thing. I think Twitch is cool. I just started Twitch. Every morning I wake up, I turn on my Twitch and I get on to the categories. I pull up Disney Lorcana, the very first one. That
Yep.
bad boy will be like 0. It'll be
Yeah.
like 1. It'll be
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
5. And I'm
Yeah.
like, dude, no one's talking about it. No one's on Twitch twitching it. And
So
it does. So we don't have a client. I get it. It's
that's
more of
it.
a
That's
gaming
the
thing.
answer. The moment, listen, you weren't here for
Yeah.
you weren't there for part of the time of when that existed, and there
Yeah.
were people, and even then, even though it existed, it was not official. And honestly, at the heyday, right at the heyday of it,
Yeah.
there was no Disney Lorcana category on Twitch.
Okay.
So like you, even if it did exist, you had to like know where to find it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm a firm believer that if we do get official client, I'm gonna wish it existed when we get
When
official
there it is. I
client.
like that. I like that.
That category will never be 0. Okay, we will
Okay.
have people that are on there grinding every single day. Guess what? I'm gonna be one of them.
Me too.
You're
I'll be
gonna be
there.
one of them,
I'll
right?
be I'll be there.
We'll be there. Trust me. So yeah, I agree with you. There's definitely some space to be open, and I saw that. That's why I said, you know what? Tuesday mornings we're gonna come out. We're gonna hang out. We're gonna hang out with community. We're gonna have these chats. We're gonna bring people on. But my full circle back to this is when it came to JDZ didn't need to bring anything special to the table. I've been listening to this guy for weeks talking about these things, and I'm like, you know what? I want to vibe. I
Ah,
want to
come
have
on.
those.
The energy is there. If your
I
frequency
want
is aligned, if your harmonic resonance is there, if you have the core, if you're ready to put your seat back up, okay, if you're ready to stow your tray table and turn your cell phones into the airplane mode, we can take this thing off to 40,
yeah,
50,000 feet. Easy.
yeah,
Okay. We can
yeah,
get it going. I don't mind at any time.
yeah,
So I'm loving the energy. I love being here. I love not doing the production work. I like just being here and just getting into my zone. I could just sit in Dan's dojo instead of my own dojo. My
yeah,
encoder cannot handle it. So I'm glad I'm
yeah,
on your encoder. I don't have to
yeah.
dump the thing, purge the
Yeah,
systems, anything like
your
that.
encoder had lots of
Dude,
man.
we're not gonna talk
We were
about that.
we were on the struggle
We're
bus
gonna
on
we're gonna
Sunday.
we're gonna
Yeah, we're not
vibrate.
gonna talk about it. What we are gonna talk about is a subject that you and I actually disagree on.
Okay, I love this.
All right. I think everything to this point, we pretty much agree for the most part that it has to. This one, I think you're wrong,
Okay,
but we're going to talk about it. Okay.
okay,
So we got intentional draws. Okay.
okay,
So intentional draws, and these, for everyone here looking, maybe if someone follows the metagame like I do, they might know where these are from. People in the chat might know where these are from. There might be some people in the chat that their name is on display right now. They're like, whoa, what the hell is that from? So this is DLC Seattle, the final round of DLC Seattle, and the final round of a local tournament, the Encounter Comics and Games. Shout out to Encounter Comic Game. Uh, Honestly, sponsor of TFM. If we're being completely honest, they should be on the jersey. Um, these are 2 tournaments locally that are not locally, but that this happened. This happens at DLCs. This happens at local events, and I'm going to give you your space so you can talk what you believe is or is not incorrect with intentional draws.
okay,
So I want to go to you.
okay,
I'm going to give you the floor first. And I'm honestly, here's what I'm going to do in this
okay,
this part of it. I am going to rebuttal every single thing you say.
okay.
I'm going to
Now
make you angry. All right.
all right. Let me
Let's go for it.
let's just get let me set my premise. Okay. Let oh, I got the floor. Okay. Oh, hey guys. You're tuned in. Greetings and salutations to me, your boy JDZ, and I'm back at you again. I'm on the Spit Mountain. No, I'm kidding. Here's my take. Okay. First of all, let's lay the foundation of the entire issue at hand. Okay. First off, as I've clearly stated here, since I've been in the Forbidden Mountain, again, shout out to Dan for letting me share this platform and get these words out there. I feel that there should be a clear and concise distinction between highly contested competitive play and recreational play, okay, and local play and casual level play, because both are needed in order to grow and sustain this great game that we play. Okay, on the local and casual level, there should not be any intentional drawing because you need people playing, and there needs to be a winner and there needs to be a loser. On the highly contested competitive field, when you have a 9-round, 10, 12 round of Swiss, yeah, let's get some draws in because you deserve it. You worked hard for it. You got to that position. You should draw. And another thing, first, let me lay my other foundation for my own internal beliefs. Okay, as an American, okay, I am an American and I'm proud of my Americanness. All right. I don't want no draws, okay, at all. I'm watching National Football League. You need to have a winner. There needs to be some sudden death. There needs to be some intrigue, okay? If you like your football, if you like your soccer, whatever, yeah, go and take your draws. Leave your 1-1. That just feels so miserable. You go to a tournament and you just go draw all the way down to the end. What did you even go there for? What was the point? I hate the fact that there are draws. What are we talking about? Intentional draw? You're talking, I'm going to go there and I'm going to draw on purpose? That is the silliest thing. I'm coming from a Yu-Gi-Oh background now. We don't do that. We go to sudden death. Sudden death is literally in the freaking rule books of what is determined, what the nomenclature is. Death is in there suddenly, which is the worst kind of death that you could possibly have. It's immediate and sudden death.
I didn't even break up. I'm like, bro, like we got
it's a sudden death. So you're talking about you're going to go in with the, like in baseball, I hate the intentional walk. I think that's very dumb. And in Lorcana, I hate the intentional draw. I think that's very dumb. In a competitive echelon, it should exist because of the length of the tournament. But on the local scene, I hate it. Sorry, Dan. I'll bounce back to you. I'll shut up and I'll wait for your rebuttal and I'll tell you why you're wrong.
All right. I gotta start one question before we continue here.
Okay.
Based on everything you just said, what is your immediate feeling when I say 2-game format?
2-game format. In my own assessment, worst possible thing. I'd rather have a 1-game format.
All right, cool. We're good.
Worst thing. There needs to be, if you are going to have a 2-game format at DLCs, if that's what it's going to be, that's fine. Because again, I'm gonna rant. Let me rant one more time. Give me one more time to rant. Okay, let me rant because when I first engaged in Digital Lorcana and I first played a 2-game format, I thought it was the dumbest thing ever. But when someone who has some, a little bit more experience, they sat me down and said, "Hey, this is why it's important," and they converted me. I understand why we need a 2-game format because these venues are incredibly expensive and a 3-game format would take a tremendous amount of time and it's a long tournament. Let's speed it up a little bit. And also it's a skill expression thing. If you can be the one that gets those 2 O's, that means that you are a better player than most of the people. If you're taking 0-2 losses, then you are probably worse. And that is just how it is. So as a skill expression thing to win those 2-game formats, then I get it. It's good. But again, that's on the DLC. If I go to a set championship and we got 9 Muldoons in the dojo, and you're talking about a 2-game format, I'm gonna smack everybody in the venue right across the face. I'm like, what are we talking about? I'm smacking every TO and judge in the venue. I'm like, stop it. Let's lock in. We got 9 Muldoons in the dojo. We got 12 Muldoons in the dojo, and you're talking about a 2-game format. I'm smacking everybody. We're not doing it, okay? Because this tournament's gonna last 5 hours. Let's play 3 games and let's get it right. And we're not drawing. That's it.
All right.
That's it. Sorry.
All right.
Sorry.
I just want to start with the last 4 minutes of JDZ have been phenomenal. Okay? I want to start with that. Okay. Now, my turn. Okay. So, ready? We just talked about 2 separate things, but you allowed my rebuttal to work in both of them, which is phenomenal. Okay.
All right.
You believe that there should be a difference in this fashion of a set championship to a DLC. Okay.
Yes.
So in set championships, there should be no IDs. Mm-hmm. There should be no 2-game format, right? All right, cool. Here's my rebuttal. A person that goes to the league every single week, right? When they show up to set championships, that is the next level, right? Mm-hmm. We can agree that league, most casual format, set championships, step above league.
Yep.
DLCs, step above set championships, correct?
Can I just add one caveat there?
Go for it.
I think that to say that as a step 1, 2, 3, I think I think that's a little disingenuous. I think it's like 1, 2, 10. Okay, there should be more tournaments in between a DLC and a set champ.
Well, we don't have that.
We don't have that. I mean, we do have the third. We have the CCS. We have the SSG. We have those regional things. I'm just saying, like, not officially.
They're the same thing as a DLC.
Those are. I think. I personally would feel that a CCS
wise DLC is worth more,
right?
But they're the same level.
But I'm saying I would put them slightly below just because of attendance and limitations there. I would say that
but if the rules of when when DLCs came out, they were only 512 players, right?
Oh yeah,
If those were the rules.
but those in terms of like the
Mm,
rules that you should follow, those would be above a set champ. Like if I sit down at a Charlie collectible or if I sit down at a Southside gaming event and my opponent's
yeah,
trying to do all these take, I'm locked in, laser folks. I'm in the dojo. We're in
yeah,
combat.
we're. I think they're the same. I
We
think they're the
yeah
same, and you're
we
like
aren't. No, I'm
distance.
saying like in terms of how you carry it.
Yeah. Okay.
I
Okay.
think a
Okay.
set champ.
Okay.
I think so. You're trying to say that a set champ a set champ
No.
is below a set champ is below a CCS, and a
Yes.
CCS is, in my opinion, below a DLC.
I don't.
In that
In
middle ground.
terms of competition, I don't think
No,
so.
not in terms of competition, just in
No,
terms
no.
of
I mean,
yeah.
like
Okay,
in terms of rules, all of these, if there were actual like different sets of rules, I believe that CCS would follow the same rules as DLC.
okay, okay. I can
That's what I
respect
think.
that. I can
Right.
respect that.
I think if you're talking about
If we're
10,000 plus
if
dollar
we
cash prizing,
right,
we're t-
if there were to be a split, I would
right,
assume that the CCS model or the Southside Gaming model or the Invitational or the whatever or the West Coast
right,
or the West
sure,
Coast Custom, the World Class cards, it's
sure,
they would side on the DLC side for sure. I do
right,
agree with that.
right. So,
As a beyond casual, beyond social, this is a highly contested competitive event.
right,
Store set championships are not, in my opinion.
right. But in my humble opinion,
Hmm.
if you do what you want to do, you are setting every single player up for failure.
Okay, I like this.
And this is why. Because the league game is your fun casual night. You go, you hang out with your friends. You don't really care what's going on. Set championships, we're playing for stakes. It might be low stakes,
Hmm.
right? Might be very very low stakes. Now in set one or in set four it was not low stakes. We're playing literally $500,000 matches in top eight for a stitch and a playmat, right? But in most cases, set championships at this point is the first indication for new players to be introduced into the competitive scene.
Hmm.
If you have a different rule set for that level, that means the moment they get to a DLC, you have set them up for failure.
Okay, I'll let you cook, but I got a
Right?
rebuttal. I got a
Right?
rebuttal loaded, and go ahead.
If we go in and we say, oh, no draws, right? If we say no draws here, but then they get into a set championship, they go to the DLC, they're like, oh yeah, I'm going to my first DLC, and all of a sudden they're at the top tables and they're grinding to get into those events, and they're at like table 18, and every table around them drew, and their opponent sits down and goes to draw, and you're like, well, we're not allowed to draw. Like if they don't know, right? Like if they don't know because you set them up to not know or not understand the system, that's a problem. This is actually proof that this is true
Hmm.
because in Atlanta, DLC Atlanta, DLC Chicago, 44 points was good enough to get into a top 64 of DLCs. The more that we went on, 44 points was no longer. It was in some cases it was not even, it was good enough to get a let it go for
Hmm.
128, but it became like 45 is the norm because more players realize that like we get to a certain point, we got to draw, we got to lock in, we
Yeah.
got to get to day two. If you sell people at a base floor, if you set them up in this position where they're like, oh, we're not allowed to, then you're already telling them like this is a bad thing for the game.
Hmm.
And your conversation of like this is it, like this is certain players like the highest that they're gonna play in, then my immediate rebuttal to that is they're not the audience for this anyway. You know?
I have several rebuttals
Go.
for that, and if that were the case, if there were there would have to be a document, there would have to be a rule book, and you would have to standardize because even right now to this day, I whenever set champ season goes around, I travel all over my region. I try to attend as many as I can because I want to support as
Sure.
many local game stores as I can. I'm all about meeting the community. I don't care about winning. I don't care about the losing. I love to engage with people, and I love to just have fun playing this trading card game that I love.
Sure.
Every single set champ that I go to, they have a different rule set. Some are playing 2 games, some are
Okay.
playing
That's a
3
whole
games,
other
some are playing.
problem.
That's a whole nother problem.
That's a whole other
If
problem.
there needs to be a black and white, this is how it goes for this
Sure.
DLC. This is how it goes for this. And to your point, and I don't agree with this personally, but at the national tournament, okay, they sat down at that
No.
players meeting right
Again,
before it started.
awful.
I don't agree with this at
Awful.
all. This is wrong. They
Awful.
were like, "Hey, there will be no IDs."
Yeah, awful.
I love the tenacity. I love the energy.
Yeah.
Hate the execution. because
Yeah.
people have already built their decks and trained and designed their thing for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks, and you get right to the dojo and you're going to change the rules. You can't do that. Okay, I
No,
don't
yeah.
like the tenacity on there. I love the energy. If they put
No.
that out 3 months in advance, oh yeah,
If
we're
if the other Continental Championship had the same rules, we could maybe double down on the argument. If
yeah.
the other Continental Championship
Right.
sat down and it was in the room and it was established that day,
Yeah,
we might have
yeah,
the
yeah,
same
yeah.
argument. We don't. That's the problem, though. The problem is that you have all these different tournaments and all these different layers, and they're all different rules.
I
That's the
yeah
issue.
that
But IDs, okay, IDs at the end of the day, they are actually incredibly healthy for the game.
yeah.
And they are. And the reason they are is because like you can't tell someone, okay? You
Mm-mm.
can't tell someone, right? And this is just like this is even an credit to those players that are new
Yeah,
to understand the reward from starting 5-0 in a tournament, right? Like the reward to it is that you actually like who the hell wants to play for 9 rounds,
I don't think
right?
anybody
And then
does.
immediately go into a
Yeah.
top 8 and they're like, first of all, I know we live in this world where everyone's like, oh, lunch breaks are awesome and lunch breaks are great and like all those great things, and they do have listen, they have purpose, but when a player starts out 5-0 and they're able to say like, okay, 7 round tournament 5-0, I'm good, I'm golden, I'm in top cut. Let's pump it down. Let's be rewarded for my
Hmm.
accomplishment in this tournament. Okay. And that's why tiebreakers exist also, right?
Yeah.
No one understands them, at least
Right.
not enough that you should. But that is the biggest problem, is that people see these players drawing and they're like, oh, they ridiculous. They got to just draw in. And what they don't understand is that if you lost in round 1 and you're fighting for your life in round 5, 6, 7, the likelihood, honestly, we can go back to this weekend and look at it.
Hmm.
The likelihood of you making a top 8, it didn't exist anyway. You
And
already
and
lost.
I think honestly, if people were forced to play it all the way out, that story wouldn't be the case. And I'm not disagreeing with you in the fact that on a highly contested field, then we shouldn't have it. If you got a long tournament with 9, 10 rounds of Swiss, then yes, let's go ahead and get those draws in because of fatigue reasons and everything that you stated. But if we have a 12-person set championship and you got little Scotty over there who just so happened to get paired up with super mega freaking Zan Syed, sits down with little Scotty, cooks him round number 1. Little Scotty goes on a heater after that, makes it all the way a deep run, can't even get into the top 8 because he faced
Well,
off with Zan in round number 1.
no, that's not true. Your example here is bad because in any 12-person tournament, like
Well, I'm
we're
saying
cutting
12,
in
12 might be
12-person
12.
tournament is actually the worst example
Oh,
because
yeah, so that, 12
you're
person.
cutting to
It's
a
a
top
small.
4.
I,
Yeah,
I might be being a bit hyperbolic. Maybe not a 12-person tournament because that's just going to be a Swiss 3 round or something like that. But like a bigger,
sure,
like maybe like a smaller set champ, maybe like 20 people.
sure.
When you got like 4 rounds of Swiss with
It's
the top.
always a numbers thing.
Yeah,
It's always
yeah,
about the numbers, right? But the end all be all is that the reward for going undefeated to the point that you can decide to draw, it doesn't even matter if there is no draws. This player still is unlikely to get in on
Hey,
tiebreakers.
and that's honestly that's why I'm such a fan of Mr. Bivens, Zach Bivens. He's like, I'm not going to give you an intentional draw. We're going to play because that's a
No,
skill expression as well. That's a
there's a difference in his method also
No,
because
I'm saying, but that
yeah,
is another thing. That's a skill because there are benefits that you can get from having the higher seed in that next day.
that's a whole different thing,
That's a
right?
whole nother subject. But I'm
Right,
saying,
and
like,
that
and
also, for what it's worth, isn't part of the rule book.
what if I have been in a dojo? Okay, I've been training. My endurance is strong and my fortitude is strong, and I got a strong deck. I feel like I can beat anyone in a 2 game format.
Sure,
Why would I want to draw? And then when I put myself at a disadvantage, when I know I can probably cook and
and
put
that is
and
absolutely a choice
get
that you
you
get.
out of here, okay, so I don't see you in the top cut.
Sure, sure, and for what's worth, you have the right to do that.
Yeah, I
You
think that
absolutely
that
have
should
the
be the
right. If you're
energy.
the guy that gets the pair down, you have the ability. There's two options here. If you're already locked in top 8, guess what? You can concede to your opponent, put them in top 8. You can do that.
Yeah,
Or you also can just dream crush and say, get out of here. But you also have the ability to say, okay, we can draw. We can go get lunch. We can go enjoy it. I can reap the rewards of my benefit by having the
yeah,
choice to do it and be rewarded for my success in the tournament. What I think is worse, and this is a little bit off tangent here, is the problem with the 2 game format and the point structure around the 2 game format is that people actually are never out of the tournament.
yeah,
So that's the success of that, is that you get to literally have the option that even in a DLC, if you start 0-4, guess what? You could still make day 2. Like,
Yeah,
that's sickening, but it's true.
it's something you
Like,
can do.
you
Yeah,
can literally still make it. Where in any other regulation tournament, you start out 0-2, you're not making top cut. And
yeah.
it's not about the record. It's about the tiebreakers of when you lost. And that is the most common thing here, is that what people don't like about IDs is that they think that's the reason they didn't make top 8.
That's
It's
not.
not.
That's not. You weren't gonna.
It's
You
not.
probably. You probably. I will concede that point. Is that I do hear that on a set championship level, because that is the most common events that I typically go to, and I just see it. I've been on both sides of it. Cause I'm not gonna sit here. Dan, full disclosure. I have drawn in to a top 8 more than once.
Of course you have, because
Everyone
it's the
has,
rules.
because everyone else is doing it. Okay, it's
It's
like
the
one of those. Well,
rules.
he did it. He did it, and I always feel terrible about it
That's fine.
because you look at table 6. You see table 1 through 4, and they're over here high fiving and jaw jacking, knowing that they're in. And you look over at table 6, and you see these Muldoons over here on the struggle bus fighting for their life, and they probably don't even have a chance to make it in. And it does feel horrible. Whereas if we were forced to play, they would at least potentially have a shot to get in if one of
They
us
don't.
loses. They
It's a
might though. They might.
they
They could.
don't. They don't.
If
You're creating
if we
fiction.
lose, if one of those people lose, then maybe they
If
could.
that person loses, they're losing to a player that's 5-0, and their
Yeah.
tiebreaker will be above yours always. If you're
Yeah.
in a losing position, in a losing table, you're beating a player and making your tiebreaker worse.
Yeah.
The person that lost to the better player in the same round is getting a better breaker than you. They will always be better than you.
Right. But if
There's no jumping moments here.
right,
People
but
believe in fiction.
I do feel if we just got on the set championship level, there needs to be no draws. Honestly, and I guarantee you that it would be a much better experience, because if it were going to happen anyway, it wouldn't matter, and at least people won't have that excuse. At
I think
least,
that in this world, where I will agree with you is if we have no draws in the game period. If we have no
okay,
draws in the game period,
okay,
awesome. But
I will
you
support
can't
that.
have your cake and eat it too.
Okay,
You
I like
can't
that.
have
You can't have
set
both.
championships have no draws, DLCs have
Okay,
draws.
okay,
We
okay.
can't live in that world. We need
I
to
can
live in a
support that.
world where it's like it's all or nothing.
I
All
support
right.
that. I
And
support
then
that.
this is, I will double down on Braden here. The benefit of not being live in a tournament is only a credit to the tournament organizer, in my humble opinion. It is okay to not be live in a tournament, to move on to the next thing. Because the moment that you give someone hope, it only makes it feel worse in the end.
And
In all honesty.
I will disagree with Braden here, is because we got to understand that going to a DLC is a full experience. Even if you can't make day 2 or can't make top cut, you can get points. You can get the tickets. You need to keep playing in the event, and I think that you can get like the Rapunzel score stuff and things of that
Again,
sort.
but that is like the hope that kills you moment.
Yeah,
But that is also, we're talking about different levels of players, right?
yeah,
Like, I think competitive, if we're talking about literally at the top echelon of competitive,
yeah.
if my goal is to make day 2, I would much rather be removed from that equation as early as possible than to be given hope that it ever existed. If my goal is to go in and get 30 points and be successful and just win a Rapunzel, that is much different.
Right, right, right.
Much,
It's like
much different.
it's like I like watching the Olympics. One of my favorite events to watch is the marathon. Okay, I love watching people who can run fast for a long time. It's always very impressive to me. If you watch the New York City Marathon, you'll see they have a lot of hyper athletes in the front. They're trying to win the race. But if you look back, there's going to be how many? We talked about this earlier. There's only going to be 10. There's going to be 10 Kenyans in there. Maybe a few Ethiopians. There's going to be one dude from Sweden probably, and there's going to be maybe some North Africans in there. Those guys are going to win. Okay. Jessica, who signed up for the fun run, sitting at 2,400 spot, she's probably not going to win. Josiah, who came up from wherever, he's in the back of the pack. He's probably not going to win. Okay,
You
but
could
guess
just watch
what?
this. Like,
He's
it's
going to
just
run that marathon, and he's going to get to the end, and he's going to get his medal, and he's going to be very happy about that. This is a life-changing event. You got to understand, this is not.
sure.
We're thinking about it from the competitive aspect a
No,
lot.
because I'm not. Because I think that, again, the way that it's set up right now, it's fine. If a player goes in and just says, I want to win 30 points, I'm going to get 30. If that's my goal, great.
Yeah.
That's your goal. If your goal is 20 points, great. That's your goal. But at some point, there should be like some recollection of like, hey, we're just going to have more side events that you can win
For
points
sure,
at.
for sure.
You can go and you can still enjoy Disney Lorcana all day. You can still experience this in any way, especially like if we're like the type of player that doesn't even like the competitive scene, like that doesn't even like constructed. You just want to go draft all day. You
Yeah,
just want to
you can do
go
that.
play sealed all day. Like if the tournaments were there to have that, if the TO is doing that, no one's going to feel bad about this.
Mhm.
Like no one, you would feel way worse about starting 0-2 in a tournament if you're just like, all right, we'll just, you know what, not my day. I'll go roll over. I'll play some sealed.
Yeah,
You
I
know,
agree. I can see that.
I'll get my points somewhere else.
I see
I'll
your
get
point.
my Rapunzel somewhere else, and everybody wins in the situation. Like, yes, we can make a level of a disagreement of like, hey, this player got to pay more money to be more like to win what they want, but like we're there. This
Yeah,
has to be a business at the
it's
end of the day. The tournament organizers got to make
listen.
money. Ravensburger got to show the like success leaves clues. We got to show proof. Like, hey guys, this time we took the 30-point away thing. We made it 20 points. So now when everyone gets to 20 points and they got that threshold and they got that card that they wanted, they were able to drop and then go sign up for a side event and win
Yeah,
their next one.
I
The
agree.
moment you make it higher and you scale it, you're giving people this false hope where if it was only 20 points and that's all I had to do, now I get the 20 points. If I'm at 20 points, I know I can't get to 45. I'm going to go play in the side event.
Yeah, I think that's correct.
I can still
I can see that.
experience Disney Lorcana.
I can
I
see
can
that.
still so
I agree. I agree with that take. I do. I personally, if just in conclusion, if I had to side on it, I would completely remove draws from the game. I
sure,
think they're un-American. Okay, and we went over that
sure.
in my preamble.
I'm good with it. I'm
I
good with it.
get rid of them, and
I'm
no
good with it.
intentional or anything. Get a
But
winner, get a loser, and be done with it.
the only way that this does happen is that not only would they have to say, okay, there's no intentional draws, you would also have to have the sudden death overtime rules
Yes.
to always be enforced, which by for the record, the thing that I hate more than anything is unintentional draws.
Yeah.
I hate
Yeah.
unintentional
Yeah.
draws more than anything on the
No.
planet.
No. I'm talking zero draw. There
No, I
will
know
be.
that. I know that. I know
Yeah.
that. But
Okay.
I'm double downing on the fact of just like the where we should start is there should not be any unintentional draws.
Right.
Because in a world where you say, okay, we can't ID, people can still play to that out. They can still sit down for 50 minutes, lolly, 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 lolly,
Yeah.
lolly. And then again, how do we prove intent? Right? We go right
Exactly.
back to it. How do we
Exactly.
prove intent?
Exactly.
You know, like
Exactly.
so like if the only way this works is if you do full flat remove them from the game, you also now have to enforce that unintentional draws no longer exist either.
Some type of sudden death rule. But then that's another thing. Again, that might be a monkey palm situation because people will exploit
Yeah,
that too. They'll drag it into
sure.
time and try to. So I might be wishing for something that I really don't want because that'll
No,
be an
I
ugly
think that
situation as
I
well.
think that the people don't want to hear this. The best way to get around all of this is to play a one game. Is play if it was play one
People would
game.
hate that. I'd be so for it. I'd be
People hate it.
maybe
I love it.
or
I think
or a
I
multiple
actually
approach, like a two-pronged approach, like do a one-game format for the first 4 rounds and switch it to a two-game format and
no, no,
nothing.
no,
Can't
none
do
of
it.
that, none of that.
None of
No,
that.
because
Okay.
if you play a best of one, all you do is Swiss plus two. You just add 2 rounds of Swiss.
Mm-hmm.
People like to complain about the die roll in this game. That's all great and dandy too. But if we go Swiss plus two and you remove the variance of the die roll and we play extra rounds and you just go play one game, move on with life, tournaments end 1 million times faster. People hate long tournaments.
Yep.
Well, guess what? You're only playing one game around. I promise you, those tournaments are full lying.
Yeah.
I have played games where it is a best of one. I loved it. And we're talking about like in worlds, in nationals, all those things. Like I played
Mm-hmm.
in games that did focus around that, and they were successful games for years that did this format, and it was fine. Don't need it. It's a whole other conversation. But the point is that like if you can't have separate rules for several like you can have them in terms of like leniency and like how we treat players and things like that and professionalism. But when it comes to IDs, you either have them or you do not have them. And then if you do not have them, you have to double down and make sure that we cover all of those things that like people can abuse. Anything that you give a player to abuse, they will.
No, 100%. You have to close the loophole. I agree with that. I think we got somewhere, Dan. I think we're saving the game. Okay, if you're watching this, Ravensburger, please don't just consider me. Okay, I take the job. Okay, we can help. And Dan as well. Dan, get Dan in here. Maybe Dan first, then me second. But we're just trying to help.
I'll take them both.
Don't put us on the blacklist, dude. We're just trying to help. I mean, don't.
No, I mean,
we're just trying to help.
I feel like I've said it a million times. I don't have to keep saying it. I only have these conversations because I care. Like,
there you go.
It's it.
I like it.
Oh, JD. Okay. All right. I listen. Chat. I'm ignoring you because we're heated here and we're doing it. It's in a positive manner, you know. But God, you guys are crushing it today. Seriously, shout out to you guys. A mile a minute. I guarantee you. Listen, we're gonna get This stream's gonna end eventually. By the way, we're going longer today. I called in the wife and I said, hey, can you go pick up the kids today from school?
Let's go.
Because I don't feel like ending the stream right now.
Let's
I
go.
want to go. I
I
want
want
to
to go.
keep
I like
going.
it. I
So
like it.
we're going the distance today, guys. Shout out, all right? But seriously, chat's been killing it. You guys are awesome, without a doubt. If you're on YouTube, description below has JDZ. You can find him. If you don't know where he is, he's excellent. A plus. He wouldn't be here if I didn't think that. Let's be honest.
Thank you.
So, you guys are killing it. I'm loving it. I'm gonna take a drink of water, and we have another subject that people love and hate.
Okay. I love it. I mean, let's keep it going. Let's keep it going.